Hi there. Welcome to Productivi-Tree. I'm Santi Tacoronte, and I'm here to help you succeed and be happier. In each episode, we'll explore new ways to work smarter, manage your time better, and grow as a person. We'll share fresh ideas, find ways to improve, and help you become your best self at work, in life. Join me as we learn and grow together on Productivi-Tree. After a life as a consulting actuary to Fortune 100 companies, David built the world's largest coaching business, becoming number one on Google for life coaching. He believed the tough conversations we avoid are our doorways to confidence, success, and even love in both work and life. David coaches high-performing entrepreneurs, executives and teams, and even prison inmates to amazing results and connection, one conversation at a time. He's been featured on CNN, Forbes, and over 350 podcasts, sharing insights on how to ×4 productivity and clarity for exponential results, the power of gamification to boost focus and execution, why courage is the key to breakthrough success, and scaling businesses faster with focus strategies. David Wood, welcome to Productivi-Tree.
Gracias, danke, thank you. Happy to be meeting you and to be on the show.
David, you've coached everyone from tech CEOs to prison inmates. What is the common mental bug that keeps people from achieving their goals?
Wow, love this question. I'd say lack of intentionality. I was just talking to a client this morning about a promotion, and I said, well, I'm kind of curious, how strong is your desire? And we realized it wasn't that strong. He was happy with how things are going, and that's great. And I said, if your desire gets stronger, I think you're going to achieve it. So I believe that most animals on the planet don't have intentionality. Humans have it. I don't think dolphins get together and say, let's create an underwater garden in 6 months. I don't think they do that. They're more intuitive. But as humans, we have the ability to say, I want this, and I'm going to work each day on making that happen. It's not the only way to enjoy life, but we have that ability. And so the common thing I find with people is some of them have that at a high level, and often working with a coach or a mastermind group or some other structure can help with that. And they say, this matters to me. I care about it, and I'm going to show up every week, every day, and every 25 minutes working towards that because it's fun. And people who are not doing that, they are just busy. They're like, okay, I'm kind of clear. I'm a little bit clear on what I want, but it's a bit vague. And I'm just busy every day, and I'm not necessarily working on the things that are going to move the needle in what I want. And that's where I come in usually. People come to me because they're like, I want to switch from that other category to this category where I'm very intentional with my day. And at the end of the year, I want to be really proud of what I've achieved. So intentionality, I'd say, is the common thing that is missing.
You say that focus is a weapon. Why do most entrepreneurs and people in general treat it like an optional feature instead of the core of everything?
My guess is because being distracted and pretending to multitask, even though we can't, is fun. It generates dopamine, some oxytocin, we get adrenaline in the body. So, if I'm talking to you and then maybe my phone lights up and I look over and there's a text message, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And at the end of the day, I get to feel really busy. And it can be a lot of fun to work like that. It's just at the end of the day, we haven't moved significantly towards what we really want, which for most business owners, they want to double revenue. A lot of them want to double their time off. And so we're just kind of floating around because it's kind of fun. But it can also be fun to say, this is what I'm going to do this week, and I'm going to say no to everything else. That can be fun too. And my job is largely to introduce people to that kind of fun.
And how did you do that? Because, when we speak about productivity, a lot of people tends to say yes to a lot of things um, for different reasons. So how do you convince people to say, no, I'm not doing this week. No, I'm not talking to you this week.
Well, I'm fortunate in that a lot of people who come to me have already worked out that what they're doing is not the optimal way, and they want to invest in something else that's going to pay off for the next 30 years, 40 years. So they're already kind of motivated, and it doesn't usually require a lot of convincing. Plus, I do podcasts like this to talk about it, and some people will hear this and go, oh, that's me. Okay, I want to apply this in my life. But where I usually start with a 1-year period, because focus doesn't mean anything unless you talk about a time frame. Because focus, are we talking about over a year? Are we talking about the next 10 minutes? We need to know. So I talk about intentionality and gamification on 4 different levels, and I'll usually start with a year. And I want to offer, actually, Santiago, I have a business assessment. It's actually a business and life assessment. So even if you don't own your own business, it would be great for you as well. It's a free assessment. It takes 5 or 10 minutes, and it will help you get clear on what game you're playing over the next 12 months. So some of the questions are oriented towards, what do you really want over a 12-month period? And the link for this assessment, we might give it out a few times on the show, is focus.ceo, which is on my hat if you're watching the video, focus.ceo/quiz. Really easy to remember. So over a year, what do you want? And it's amazing. Even the people listening to this podcast, I wish we could poll them and see how many people have written down goals that light them up over a year, and how many have written down what they will not do this year. So, for example, I had to address this with my own coach. What do I want this year? And I realized I want to own a home in the US now. I have a property in Australia, but I want to own my own home in the US. I want to qualify for a second housing loan. And so that means I have certain income goals, and I want to own a home where I can create my own pickleball court and play pickleball with my friends, because I'm crazy about pickleball. Now that lights me up. But I also had to write down, what will I not do? And an example is I've decided to give up travel this year so that I can focus on this goal. And I'm giving up working on the piano and the guitar. Also improv, which I really enjoy. So that's the first game. And this can be very confronting for people to really ask themselves, what do they want? What if you write it down and you really try and you don't get it? What does that mean about you? So some people they find this easy, and they can, like, I know exactly what I want. Some people have goals, they know what they want, but it doesn't light them up. So I tweak and I work with them on, let's find something that would have you do the happy dance. They would have you call your friends and say, yes, I got this. I'm so excited. So they might need their goals upgraded. And some people, it takes them some time. It might take a couple of weeks of reflecting and questioning to get clear on what they want. But I'd call that the first level of gamification. Let's know what game we're playing over this year. And if you don't have a clear game to play, you're not going to know what to say no to. When you get invitations, hey, would you come and speak at this event? Could you help me out with this? Do you want to come and do this on Saturday? You won't know whether to say yes or no, because you don't have a clear game to play. And you might start saying yes to things. I want you to have a reason to say no. So that's let's call that the first level of gamification, 1 year.
How do you deal with conflicting goals? An example is people that don't want to continue working for corporations, but they are continue applying for corporate jobs, and at the same time they want to be independent or create their own business or be a consultant,
Right.
or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Being human seems to be a game of optimizing conflicting values. So I have a value for independence, but I have a value for peace of mind and a stable income. So, I might like to start a business, but I might like to work for a corporation. I have those conflicting goals. I thought about getting a job this year because the idea of benefits sounded really good, and I've been working for myself for 25 years. So I have those conflicting goals. But I'll ask you this. How does your body and brain decide to go to the bathroom? Because you may have a desire to get a snack. You may feel like you need to stretch. Your brain might be, I've got some pressure on the bladder and I want to go to the bathroom, but I want to call Bill because Bill's waiting for me. How does it happen? It happens seamlessly. I think it's called a dominant monad, someone told me, where you got all these things and they bubble up to something and you make a decision without even knowing it, and you go to the bathroom, you get a snack, whatever. It's always happening. So I start with, let's ask the right questions. What do you care about? What do you want? Some people want to go right back to let's work out values. But often when they come to me, they already have a bit of a sense. I want to double revenue. I want to double my time off. I want my relationship with my kids to be great. Then when we dig in a little bit, I want my health to be better. So let's look at nutrition. Let's look at exercise. I'm a generalist. So I work with people on everything that they want. And we ask the questions. And then if there's usually there isn't any major conflict. It's just more finding their desires. And if there is a conflict, something will bubble up to the top. We might have to look at what are the pros and cons of starting your own business, and what are the pros and cons of staying in a corporation. And often what I like is what's the hybrid result. So for example, say they're already in a job. Maybe they don't quit and start a new business. Maybe they negotiate dropping down to 4 days a week. And then they'll spend a Saturday and a Friday working on a new business. So you've got the safety, you got the income, and you get to try this out for 6, 12 months, 24 months. And if the business is starting to do well, so sometimes it's not an either or. Sometimes it's like, maybe you can have it all.
Let's talk gamification, which is one of your unique ways of thinking. How do you turn business or life goals into a game?
Great. So I think this comes down to artificial constraints. So many people have heard of, I believe it's Parkinson's law, that says work will expand to fill any container you set for it. So if you set a 6-hour container to work on to build your website, that's how long it'll take. If you set a 4-hour container, that's how long it will take. So a really powerful principle that I'm getting more and more excited about is setting artificial constraints. If you have a boss, well, your boss might do that for you. Okay, you've got this much budget, you've got this much time, your boss should be setting constraints. But some bosses don't do that. And we still need to do it for ourselves. And if you're your own boss, you have to do it. You can't just, well, you can just go along and play and be busy. That's fine. I don't want to say that's wrong. But if you have goals that matter to you, then you probably want to be more focused. So we have to set constraints. That's why we start with a year and say, this is what matters, and this is what I will not do. Now you've got a game because you've set a constraint, and you've got a reason to say no to things that don't align with your goals. The next level of gamification might make it even clearer. What's the game I'm playing next week? What matters most? Let's take pickleball. I love pickleball. To have a game, you've got to have limitations. You cannot hit the ball outside these lines. You cannot hit the ball below the net. You cannot hit the ball if you're standing in the kitchen. You have to have limitations or you don't have a game. And you've got to have a goal. I want to make you make an error, or make you hit the ball out, then I get a point, and once I get to 11, I win. That's what I want to do with work. So we create a game over a year, create a game for next week. These are the things that I will do. Have a list. I commit, and this is scary. A lot of people don't want to commit, but I commit that I will do these 4 things next week. I will try and do these 3 things. And then I'm going to be honest with myself. These 3 things I wish I could do, but I'm probably, if I'm honest, I'm not going to get around to it. That's a wish list. So you could say we divide it up into 3 lists. This is what I commit to do. This is what I hope to do. And then this is my wish list. I'm really dreaming. I'm probably not going to get to that. Now you've got a game to play. And I highly recommend, I generally recommend my clients go and put that into your calendar. Work out how much time you're going to allocate to each. Box it. This is the limit. That's another artificial constraint. I need to finish this report. I'm going to give myself 2 hours. All right, that's a game. If you just say it takes as long as it takes, that's not a game. So 2 hours, this is 3 hours, this is 1 hour. Can you fit it into your calendar? Maybe you can't. So you've got to cut something. Once you've set this game for the week, and I recommend you do this in what I call a CEO date with yourself. Once a week, Friday, 5 o'clock, or Sunday, 9 a.m. with your cup of coffee and breakfast. You're going to create your plan for the week, create your game. Once you've got that, you now have a reason to say no to things that will come up. And of course things will come up, Santiago. Life is going to happen. People are going to ask you for stuff that's going to throw your plan out. And if you don't create a game and you don't commit to anything, you won't have a reason to push back. You won't have a reason to say no to yourself. When your brain is, oh, I want to do this thing on Amazon, or maybe I want to go and play Fortnite, and you know, or I just want to goof off during the day, or at night I'm gonna watch 4 hours of TV. You won't have a reason to say no to that if you haven't committed to a game. So I get excited about this. This is intentionality. If you don't have a game to play, you're just going to waffle through the week. But once you got a clear game with clear rules, you can win at that game, and you're going to have to say no, or you're going to fail at the game.
You seem to have covered 2 levels of gamification. What are the other 2? You said there's 4.
I like that you're tracking that. Yeah. The next level. And by the way, guys, I don't expect you to listen to this in 30 minutes and then go and implement it all in your life. I haven't met anyone who's done that yet. Usually for my clients, it takes a good month or more of bringing these things in one at a time as a habit. And then after, say, 30 days or 60 days, it's yours for life. You try something out, and then you might fail at it. And we look at, well, what happened? Maybe it was your notifications were turned on, or maybe there's so many different ways that this can fail. I just want to give you some of the information. If you take anything from this, I hope it's the quiz, which will help you assess what you really want, what your challenges are, and you may find that productivity is the main thing you're going to work on. But for many people, some people it's not. For some people it's leads. For some people it's mindset. but the quiz will help you do it. And again, the link for that is focus.ceo/quiz. And I hope you take it. I hope you take it on. The third level is tomorrow, because the week plan might fall apart at some point and things change. So I encourage my clients to create a date with themselves, maybe 5 o'clock every day. I prefer this to 8 a.m. the next day. Like the day of, that's not a great time to plan. I don't like that. I prefer do it the day before, because you got some separation. You can make some CEO decisions for your day tomorrow, and you can really look at it and say, all right, I've got my week goals. I've got my calendar already set. Let me see if that's right. No, this is now more important. So this, I'm going to move back. This, I can't fit it in now. I'm going to have to push that back to next week. I'm going to have to call Bill and get myself out of this meeting, renegotiate. You make these executive decisions ahead of time so that you've got a good game to play for tomorrow. And again, you can have a list of, this is what I commit to. I will do these two things no matter what. I'm promising myself. That's a little scary sometimes, because what if you can't control it? But I will do these things. These are on my hope list. And these other things I'm going to have to just put back. I'm taking them off tomorrow because I can't fit them. Let's take the loss up front. Instead of finding out at 4 o'clock tomorrow it can't be done, I want everyone to take the loss up front. Your CEO can handle that. So now you're going to have a game to play when you wake up tomorrow morning. You know what matters, and you'll have a reason to say no when everyone's asking you, can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, wait, let me squeeze this in. You'll have a reason to push back. That's the third level of gamification. And I think maybe we should not tell them the fourth one, because I want to tease people a little bit. Right? You don't want to give away the whole farm. Plus, I don't like overloading people. You know, it's exciting. I can give people like 50 different things to do. You can't implement them all. And we just overload the brain. And it's ironic because we talk about focus, and then I give people 20 things that they can't implement. So it's a little bit hypocritical.
How do you measure if a goal is gamified correctly? What are the signs that the system is working?
Love that. I would say it's working for me if at the end of the day, I nailed the things that I said were important. Now, I don't do this every day. Some days I just want to be free flowing. Like tomorrow is Saturday. I'll probably do some work. I might work on an app, an AI app that I'm really interested in. And that's going to be more free flowing. I just want to do what feels good. I have a cup of tea, might walk the dog, might work for a couple of hours. So I'm not saying be focused 24/7. That's insane. But on the days, usually the weekdays, I want to be focused. Did I set what mattered? And did I nail those things? And that feels really good. I'd call that success. You know, you get to feel like a hero. And that's largely why I talk about this stuff, Santiago. I mean, you know, the stuff that really lights me up is intimacy and true connection and courage, going for stuff that's scary. Like that's the stuff I really love as a coach. Loving oneself. I just don't know how to really sell that. So what I do is I help people with the stuff that their brain is telling them they want, which is usually making more money and creating more time off. And one way to do that is to focus on productivity.
David, what is your no to yes ratio these days?
Wow. I have no idea what my ratio is because I don't know how often I'm saying yes. But what came up when you asked that was realizing there are some important no's that I'm saying to myself, because no's aren't just for other people. For example, recently I made a commitment that I will not buy corn chips or any other kind of chips or crackers or ice cream. I'll not buy and have those in the house. And also, I've said no to having 2 alcoholic drinks in a day, except once a week. Once a week, I could have 2. So, you know, I'm fascinated by the idea of discipline. And when you create a game, if you want to stick to the game, you want to win at the game, you're going to have to say no to some things. So, one of my games is health. And also cannabis. I found during the pandemic that I really liked it and I was using it to relax my body. But if you smoke every night for 5 years, you run into some issues. You know, it's not good for the body or the brain or the motivation. And so now I'm saying no to myself for things like that. So I don't know what my ratio is, but I think I'm winning at the game because at the end of most days, I'm happy with what I achieved. I look back and I go, good job, good job, good job. And particularly there are some hard things that I would want to put off. I'm proud of myself when I handle those. And part of this creating a game is if you create a CEO date with yourself for the week and for the day, you can put some hard things on your own plate because you won't have to do it until next week or until tomorrow. And things like handling taxes and, you know, so I'm happy with how I'm playing the game, and I have no idea on my no to yes ratio. I'm going to sit with that one.
What is the number one productivity mistake even high performers make?
Well, a big obvious one, and the high performers should know this stuff, is allowing, I think, oh, let's go back to basics, not having their clear targets. If I don't know what I'm going to achieve today, then it's really hard to be productive. It can happen, but it's hard. So just starting the day or the week without clear targets would be the number one mistake. And then the number two that came up would be allowing notifications and distractions, allowing that. And that's both external, like your phone
Mm.
or email, and also internal. Just your own thoughts will take you off track. So you need to really be focused and set a game. Um, we talked about the gamification over a day, but you've got to create a much shorter game as well. That's the one we didn't get to. And if you allow notifications or even allow your own thoughts to take you off track, then you're not going to win at the game. I like sometimes having a later list. I call it a later list. And if my brain comes up with something that it wants me to do when I'm actually committed to a task, I write it down. Oh, call Bill or check my Amazon order so that I can get back to what I like to call a working meditation.
Let's do some rapid fire questions, David. 5 questions, 30 seconds to answer each one of them. Number 1. What's the most powerful productivity tool you use every day?
Pomodoro technique.
Number 2. What's one belief about success that you disagree with?
That you're not successful already.
Number 3. One boundary everyone should set immediately.
No idea.
Number 4, favorite game you've used as an inspiration for life or business?
Huh. Um, Maybe improv, theatrical improv. You have to learn, you learn some, it's like Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance. You start to see life parallels. And one of the tools is you learn to say yes to everything. Yes, and I will build rather than, no, that's wrong. Be like, yes, thank you. And so I think improv is a game that's influenced my life and business.
And number 5, if someone feels completely scattered and overcommitted, what is the first thing they need to do tomorrow morning?
Take some things off your plate and take the loss up front. Grieve for those things. Say, okay, it's not healthy for me to do all of this. So what matters most? So prioritize, I would say. Take some things off the plate. That's 2 things. And the third would be take a breath. Breathing is a wonderful hack. Just a breath. Okay. All right. I got this.
David, what's your message to all listeners who feels like they are either drowning guesses, distractions, seeing their life pass in front of their eyes, but they're afraid to change?
You're doing great already. I think we miss how good life is and how good our decisions are and how much we've achieved. We're very hard on ourselves generally. So you don't need to be fixed. You don't need to be changed. If you want more, if you recognize that you're capable of more and you want to play a game called I want to crank it up a notch, then there are ways to do that. And that's great. But don't let anyone sell you on the idea that you're broken or you're not rocking it out already. Appreciate where you are. And if you want to go to another couple of levels, I'd be honored to help you do that.
Let's wrap this up. How can listeners connect with you, experience your coaching, or get you to speak on an event? How can people get in touch with you, David?
I would say do the quiz. I put 20 years into that thing, and it'll cost you 5 to 10 minutes of your time to look at what do you want, and it'll help if you have a business too. It'll help you assess 9 areas of your business so you know what to work on. Also, that'll get you on my mailing list. If you want to I send out a couple of things a week that are designed to help you with your business and your life, because I care mainly about life. That's focus.ceo/quiz. The second thing I would offer is if you want me to review the results of your quiz and assessment, I'm happy to do 15 minutes. I will give you 15 minutes of my time to help you create the beginnings of a plan. The reason I do that for free is because it's how I find the right clients to work with. And then the third thing I would offer your listeners is if you're interested in coaching with me, and after our 15-minute discussion, it looks like coaching would help you, and you want a coaching structure, I would offer a sliding scale. I've been charging just a flat $2,000 a month for many years. And recently I've been playing with the idea that not everyone should be paying that amount of money. If you're not earning over $250,000 a year, I don't think you should be paying $2,000 a month to a coach. So if you mention in the notes in your assessment, Santiago and sliding scale, then I will, if we decide we want to work together, we'll pick a number between $300 and $2,000 a month that we both feel is right for where you're at in your life and your business. And that's my third offer. And all 3 of those things you can get, plus my mailing list if you want it, at focus.ceo/quiz. And I imagine that'll be in the show notes.
It will be. David, thank you so much for this time. It was really interesting to hear that we can gamify our goals and break them down somehow that they're more digestible and we can have fun with them. I'm also taking away that phrase you said that you are already enough and you don't need to fix yourself. I think this is a message that these days is a bit overlooked. We live in the society of getting more, buying more, getting more done. And sometimes, many times indeed, less is more. David, thanks a lot for being with us today. And we wish you the best, that you get your American house this year. Of course, I'm sure you will. And we might need to bring you back to explain the number 4 gamification step.
Yeah, we could do that. Or what's coming up for me is courage. I'm so passionate about like what scares us and how do we ride that edge of the fear. I'm actually counterphobic, which means I lean into what I'm scared of. So that just came up. Yeah, I've really enjoyed your insightful questions, and I'd be happy to come back.
Thanks a lot, David. Thanks for listening to Productivi-Tree. I hope you found something useful in today's episode. If you did, and it helps improve your life even a tiny bit, that'll make me really happy. Remember, you can find Productivi-Tree on all major podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. If you enjoyed the show, why not share it with a friend who might also find it helpful? Until next time, and keep growing and stay productive.